What's going on, guys? It's your boy Cash, and this is gonna be a very different type of video. Normally I don't talk about things of this nature. I usually only speak on my own life. I think that that's pretty much the best way to like say it. I usually only talk about my own life, but it's pretty obvious, or it's pretty much widespread news. Half the stuff that's been going on lately, that's completely not corona related, and it's gonna be, I just wanted to touch on George Floyd. Now, the whole thing about George Floyd, now it's obvious that there has been a ton of this happening. It sucks to say, there's been a ton of, guy getting killed by the police, black guys specifically getting killed by the police. There's been black women as well. There is, I've seen a lot, and it's also not when it even when it's actually not police brutality. I actually watch a lot of cold cases, murder cases, serial killer cases. I watch a lot of that stuff. So not that I would say I'm desensitized, but sometimes when I look at these things when they pop up on the news, I'm always trying to find the complete story. I don't know necessarily if that's a bad habit or not, but I don't like to jump to conclusions. I like to wait until there is full detail before making an opinion or throwing something out there, especially when you do it on a platform like this. So after seeing as much as I can personally stomach, that's crazy. The whole thing is very disgusting, and it's mind-blowing. I honestly don't even feel like doing another video or anything like that, or without at least addressing this first. It's really hard to move on, and because whether or not you want to believe race was a motivator in what happened, the one thing as a person of the brownish of skin is that I have to think that, damn, that could have really been me. And not that, I have, if they say that he was on drugs, I don't have to worry about that. I don't take drugs. But at the same time, what if he wasn't? We have to figure that out. That hasn't been, I think they have to do with toxicology. Toxicology, I forgot how the specific term, I do apologize, but they pretty much have to do that. On the coroner has to come and say, like, what was in the system, was there things like that caused. The first police report that came out said that there was a medical incident, and then the videotape, all the footage that's coming out looks like, no, that wasn't the case. He didn't die due to some type of weird medical issue that he had or something of that nature. And if he did, the way that they handled it was definitely not how you handle someone that is in need of medical attention or needs medical help. You would definitely not see that type of inhumane display of a person. I'm not gonna show the clips because it's a lot to I don't think I have enough in me to be like, let me go find the most recent, or let me go find the clips of stuff like that. Honestly, search the man's name, George Floyd, and that's another big thing. You need to say his name. He can't be unarmed black man. He can't be things of that nature. He can't be the Minneapolis police hurt guy, and you have to say his name. The reason why his name is so important is because it separates each individual case to what they are. Because if you just say another unarmed black person, it kind of just makes this big conglomerate of a big ball of shit, and it's just like, oh, it's all part of that, when each case should be handled differently. That's why this one specifically hits me a little bit harder, because it's dramatically different than some of the other ones that I personally have seen. Some of them have some type of probable cause. Sometimes there is a slight bit of argument, a little tad bit of argument that you can have to say that, oh, maybe, he shouldn't have, maybe that should have. This one I feel like is one of the most definitive cases, is that if you really want to like say he shouldn't have resisted arrest or things of that nature, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to do with you. You're really low. You're really bad. Like, I had my friend, he was mad at me at one point because I said I want to see everything, and he thought that I was trying to validate, the behavior that I saw, even when I only had saw like 1 or 2 minutes of it. Like, how the news, they recap everything, and I only saw a little bit of it. I literally saw a dude's with his knee on the back of his neck, and that's all I saw. And I was like, well, I don't. Was that I didn't know. I had to ask questions. Did he actually die there on the scene? I had no idea. Was he, did he actually get up after that point? Like, was he then shot? Because I've seen that before. I've seen a person that was pretty much subdued on the floor, and then they shot him afterwards. I don't remember exactly what gentleman that was, but that happened to a guy. I've seen that before, where they actually shoot him afterwards. So I didn't know that it was only due to the compression of the neck, that was the only thing. Like I said, I've seen a lot of this stuff. It's ridiculous to come to find out that no, not only was he just there for, you know, he was subdued to the floor, but on top of that, when he became lifeless, when he became unresponsive, they still stayed on that. They only stayed on it until a medical person, a medical staff, or someone of that nature, or I think either the cop or the medical staff, someone says, "Hey, I actually need to, you know, I need to check a pulse." And you see the people in the video that are constantly crying out for that specific thing. Hey, man, check his pulse, make sure he's okay. And you just really, that's scary, man. It's scary, and I think that that's the thing, is that when people see that, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, Native American, that's scary. That's where the whole part of it, when it goes from it being a race issue to being something that's a little bit higher than just race. And race is a big thing that we all have to still come along with. And it's I wish it wasn't an issue, but it is. You can't, as much as I wish it wasn't, it is. You know, there is an issue of race. Some people might not think it is as big as it is. Some people think it's a little bit lower. Some people think it's a little something, but there is. And you know, I do think that there is a level to it. If you don't want to go down the race card, you could still say that they didn't value that person's life. I think that's a fair bit to say. They didn't value his life. They didn't value that person's life as a friend or a neighbor. They didn't value it like a family member. They didn't value his life. Maybe because they thought he was on drugs. They thought he was, oh, one of those crackheads. Oh, another crackhead. Oh my God. If I let him get up, he's gonna be sporadic. Oh, I don't want to deal with that shit. Just put your knee in the back of his neck. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. They treated him like he wasn't a community member or a person of that state. They treated him like he was like a rogue dog or something like that. They treated him like an animal. Like that's what you do when an animal is wild and you need to subdue it. And you have three people holding this man down, and you have one guy off to the side trying to make sure that they don't interrupt it. He's like, it's almost as if, you know, he's like, there's an execution going on behind him, and he's just like blocking the door so you can't like get in the door, but he doesn't know that like the door is see-through because it's outside. So it's like this guy's like trying to stop it. No, don't stop it. He doesn't want to stop it because what he sees, and you could tell that the guy looks over it a couple times. He sees, oh, this is okay, because, and he also mentions don't do drugs. This guy, the Asian man in the whole situation, and he's looking at that and he doesn't see value in that man's life. Like I said, you want to take race out of it, go right ahead. You could do that if you want to. But at the end of the day, they did not value that man's life. They did not value him at all. They thought less of him. They didn't think that, because there's no way, if I was to pin my friend to the floor, playing around, angry, even in a fit of anger, if my friend tell me, yo, bro, I cannot breathe, yo, bro, I can't breathe, I'm going to stop. If I was holding down a stranger, let's say some altercation happens and a stranger, for some reason, he does some stupid stuff, I gotta put him down, I gotta hit him with the chokey dokey. I'll be man enough to admit, if he says I can't breathe, I'm probably in the process of hoping that I can make him unconscious to some degree. I think that's fair to say. I'm trying to incapacitate him. I'm trying to, that might be not to be the correct word, but I'm trying to make sure that he can't hurt me. I want to knock him out. I want to put him to sleep, and then once he's asleep, you know, hopefully someone else can come get him or something of that nature. But I would never have that intent to kill, you know, but I've also seen that, and because of the fact that I've watched several like mixed martial arts fights, is that there's always someone around that's gonna stop that. That's what you would hope, that's what the other cops are there for. I understand if a person like me was trying to disable someone. Actually, let me take off my glasses because I realized that that whole fog and the glare in the glasses thing, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I apologize. A person like me might not know how to do that. Like I said, I might just try to choke someone. I'm like, oh, I hope that they're unconscious enough that they're not going to be a threat to me anymore. Things of that nature. Like that's what I would try to do. I'm not a trained fighter. I'm not a trained officer. I'm not a trained anything. If I get into any type of altercation, it's literally my background of watching mixed martial arts fights, anime, TV shows, and movies, I'll probably get my ass kicked 9 times out of 10 if I ever get into some type of altercation. And I'm pretty much prepared for that. Not that I won't go down swinging, but I'm pretty much prepared for that. Now, when you see a officer, you're assuming that they have the utmost training. You're assuming, and maybe you could say that the movies have made this, or the TV shows, when you see someone like do a field strip or something like that, or you see someone like the guy comes up to him, throws a punch, and he like counters it or something like that, and puts him on the floor and then handcuffs him or something like that. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are trained, very, 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 like highly trained professionals. That's what we're looking for. Because when you have the duty to if you have the power to be able to go around and drive a vehicle, which is kind of scary when you think about it, right? They have the power to literally drive up to any place. They have the ability to literally park their car and stay somewhere and just think out. They could just be like, well, I need to look for this. This is the thing. This is my assignment. They could do that. So when you're hoping to see that, is that you got these people that are trained in the physical ability. They're trained to do something physical. They're trained to make very, very rational decisions because they have that much power. When you see someone with power, you're hoping that they make really rational decisions. So when you see people make these decisions, you're gonna get angry. I don't see with how people. There's some people that are like trying to rationalize this, and it's like, you can rationalize. Like I said, I'll keep saying it over and over and over again. You could try to rationalize that it's not about race. This is not race. The cops weren't racist. You could say that all day. Me personally, whether you deem them racist or not, they made a terrible decision out there on the field. And I've heard it from so many YouTube videos, they destroyed the faith of police in that area, and they destroyed a lot of faith of police in multiple areas because I'm trying to like articulate a lot of stuff because I'm used to just making things seem funny, and I don't necessarily want to do that. But it really sucks because I know people. I've been approached by cops and stopped by cops so many times in my life, and I've actually, most of the times when I get stopped by a cop, it's a pretty good situation, or should I say, it's a pretty good outcome. I used to be a field inspector, and as a field inspector, I used to have to go into abandoned houses, and I would have a shirt, not like this specific shirt, but I would have a shirt that had a logo on it. But unfortunately, when you go into abandoned houses, there's mold. There are wet surfaces. Sometimes the walls are wet. Sometimes there's spider webs and things of that nature. So I would go in with a hoodie on top of it. Now, the company that I work for did not provide hoodies for me. So I would go in there with whatever hoodie that I felt like it. And yes, the company shirt was inside, but you couldn't see that if you were looking from behind. So you would expect that sometimes that I would go into these houses and they would call the cops on me. I've gotten the cops called on me, I think 4 to 5 times in my working there for definitely less than a year. I didn't make a year with that company, but I got cops called on me several times in a pretty bad area. The area that I was gone to, I didn't know what at the time, but I figured it out later when people were like, "Oh, you work. That's the area you got to go to." Man, be careful. Be careful. Be mindful of it. Look around. Make sure your surroundings. And I was like, really? Wow, dang. But I was approached by the fact that half the time that I was pretty much an innocent bystander or just a guy doing their job, they were relieved to see a person like me, a person that when they get a call from the cops and they say that, they literally would tell me what they get on the phone call. That, hey man, I had a mask. You know how everyone has a mask on, right? Because they're scared of coronavirus, right? I used to have those masks to protect myself from mold, right? So people would see that and call the cops, and guess what they would say? Hey, I just saw this black guy go into this house, this abandoned house, with a mask on. Now they don't know it's an actual mask, like a ventilating mask. They think, oh, a mask, like a ski mask, because they don't have any context. You don't call 911 and send them a picture. You call 911 and they just kind of make it up on the fly. So I got approached by those cops, and they came up to me, and I have my documentation and everything like that, and they're like, man, hey man, just following up on a call. Those are good cops. Now, those same cops, their name, the hard work that they did, the decision making, the fact that he didn't come in there and just assume that, you know, based off the call that they got, that this man needs to be put down, or maybe we should apply more aggression, or maybe we should send multiple cars to the scene, because that always is intimidating, by the way. If you see multiple cars come to you and it's just you by yourself and you're like, dang, what did I do? You're probably thinking like something bad's gonna happen, or you're in a really sticky situation. All this stuff kind of leads up to, you know, having faith that these people are going to do the right thing. You know, so I've been in those situations where the police have done right by me. I was an innocent party. I didn't do anything wrong. I was in situations where you would definitely investigate heavily into what I was doing, and there has been some times when they called the cops on me, and 2 cars did show up because, like I said, black man with the hoodie going inside of an abandoned house. That house is owned by X, Y, and Z. Pretty similar to Ahmad. I don't want to butcher his name, but very similar to his case as well. I was a black man going into an abandoned house that was pretty much being renovated by the bank, not by an owner. No one owned the house at the time, but it was by the bank, and I was hired technically from that company to the bank to go check on the house to make sure that the house was in good condition and it was still being worked on, that the house wasn't being neglected. And they called the cops on me. 2 cars popped up on me, and I had to explain myself to 2 cops. I came back there the next month, because you have to go there monthly to keep checking on the houses and the condition of the house. They called the cops on me again. You would think that they would memorize my car, so we didn't have to have that issue come up. But hey, it's me. It's the same guy. You could see my work stuff. Doesn't matter. But now, if I was to get that job now, would I feel comfortable when a cop comes up to me and he's like, you know, we heard some XYZ, like, we heard that this happened, so we're here to investigate, sir. What's going on? And like, what? How am I supposed to feel? Like, this is years ago. This is before. This is when you would see a police brutality, and it wouldn't be as consistent. Like, there was a time where they were like popping up, like almost every few months. They would pop up, right? Every few months there was one, but it wasn't even like that. You would always think like, maybe that guy did resist arrest a little bit too strongly, and they just had to use force. They made a little misjudgment, you know. So you would kind of brush it off to the side. Like, not every single person, black man or not, has been shot, and people are sometimes a little bit torn on it because it's like, you might have provoked that a little bit. This one, nah. I don't think that I've seen personally at this moment, as of 3 a.m. 5:28. There's no footage that I've seen that can validate what I saw in those what I saw to George Floyd. There's nothing. And the only reason why I'm making the video is I'm not gonna monetize it. I don't even make much money off of the other videos that I make. But it's that feeling that you have to say something. I can go on my Discord right now. This is my Discord. This is my Discord server. Um Anything people are talking about, video game stuff, you know, anime stuff, a new game just came out, you know, things of that nature. No one's really talking about that because it doesn't. Some people honestly don't know. They don't know because it's not within the realm of knowing. It could be really big in certain communities depending on how they tag it and things of that nature, but some people just honestly don't know. And this is me trying to speak out to my community. This is me trying to, you know, say something. Add to that collective of people that are really upset about this, because my only thing to say is that just imagine if that was you. Imagine if you were, for whatever reason, resisting or non-resisting, slightly resisting versus very resisting, and the police have you down on the floor and you just would like to get up. You would like to get some air. What do you do then? You know? What if that was your father? You know, or your brother? I don't like to always say specific family names because then be like, I hate my father. Fuck that dude. And be like, okay, fine, not your father, but your mother. You know, like anyone that you deem slightly above a human level. I don't even think that some people would have done that to a dog. Legit, they wouldn't have put their knee on a dog's neck and like just sat there and like held it. I feel like not that many people would have done that to a dog. And I know some people are probably like, I don't know, that chick in the park, she pretty much choked the dog out. But things got to change. And I've been researching. I'm trying to see what exactly can be done. What can we do? Because it's not that people are silent and they're ignoring it. Some people are silent and they really don't know what to do. They see it, they're outraged. They don't make videos. They don't, type on their Instagram as much. They don't type on their Facebook as much. What people need right now is the ability to do something that really honestly matters. They need something that is going to progress towards something. At this point, regardless, I might get crucified for this, regardless of the punishment of the officers, the 4 officers that were involved, right? Whether they get a death penalty or if they go to jail or serve some type of time, they already lost their jobs, which obviously, I mean, that's the bare minimum. Honestly, I wouldn't feel safe. Imagine if they kept their jobs. Would you honestly? I'd move out that town. And moving is not something that you can easily do. But would you really want to live in that town? Honestly, but there needs to be laws in place. We need to get to the point where that can't happen anymore, where that has an immediate punishment to it, because it can't keep happening. And then it's about what state it happened in. What state happened? Oh, and technically in this state, that's okay. No. Mm-mm. That stuff can't fly. If the person's being irate or resisting arrest, there needs to be a non-lethal way, which is supposed to be the tasers. There's supposed to be a way to de-escalate them, pretty much bring them down. Like I said, I wouldn't be too foreign to like a chokehold or something to just, put them in something like that. But see, as you can see, like Eric Garner, sometimes the chokehold is held for too long. So maybe we can't do that. The taser, maybe the taser is not effective on certain people. They need to find some type of way. Sleep gas. I'm fine with some sleep gas. You knock them out, put them in a car, they wake up, they're in the precinct or something of that nature. We need some type of protocol to where people aren't dying. Because now we can't get the story from his end. We can't even ask the dude what happened. He supposedly was, even the whole thing started because he forged a check. He forged a check? How much is this man's life worth that you potentially killed him? How much is this man's life worth that you killed him because he forged some type of check? And that, we don't even know if, the check went through. Did it bounce? Like, what happened? And I'm pretty sure the person that originally made that call, that wasn't the result that they wanted. That, because usually when someone, someone gets caught stealing, they call the cops and they're like, what do you want to do? Oh, I just want my stuff back. Or I want them to give me my stuff back and they go to jail. Or I want to get my stuff back and then we're going to make sure that they're banned from our stores. I highly doubt that the person that made that call was like, I want that guy dead. I don't want that. That's punishable. Like, no, there's no way that that person wanted that. That's disgusting. I don't even know how I'm going to edit this because it's like ridiculous. It feels weird. It really does. Like, this is it's very different. You can't even say like, obey the law. I've seen so many times when people are complying to the point where you would have thought that they were the best Simon Says champions, and they still get hurt. And it doesn't have to result in death. Sometimes it could just be a punch or a kick or like thrown down to the floor. It doesn't always have to be an extreme when you comply and then you still get hurt or you die. And it makes sense that sometimes even when you're slightly upset, you're getting arrested. There should be some type of expectancy that the person is not going to be completely happy with it. They're not going to be to the point where it's like everything's butterfly. Oh, sir, I'm sorry. Well, we're going to be arresting you right now. Half the time I've seen interrogations. I've seen people brought in for questionings, and it's nowhere close to that. It's just not. If anything, they could have, I'm not saying trick the dude, but something, man. Like, hurts seeing that video, man. It really does. I'm not going to ask you to like a damn thing. Only thing that I do ask is that if you have information or what I could do, comment it below as far as like something about proceeding to. I think they definitely need to be prosecuted. I think there needs to be some type of trial, and not just on them, but the whole situation of this happening. needs to be put into question. I think police officers need all of them need like some type of training regimen, or monthly might be too much, but you know, yearly something, psych evaluation. Those people did not value that man's life, and that's not a type of person that I want patrolling my streets. That I don't care. Say he's on drugs, whatever. You want that? Take it. I don't want a person that's devaluing that man's life because of some decision that he made either right then and there, a couple hours ago. He devalued that man. They all did, all four of them. There needs to be something that, some type of therapy that makes sure that that doesn't happen, that an officer doesn't get to that point. There's probably so much stuff that those officers as individuals have probably let slide because they just didn't care. My man had he had his hands in his pockets. He literally could have took his hand out of his pocket, checked for a pulse, but he just kept him in his pocket. He was relaxing. Normal day. Oh, the pain, the agony of this shit. Can't justify that, man. You can't. Like I said, if you have anything to add, I know that the updates is going to be updates. I'm going to keep updating. And that's one thing that I always hate with these things sometimes, is that you see people, they're outraged in the beginning, the outrage calms down, and then it just goes away. It's kind of like when I see people, other social media people, and you know, I mean, it makes sense. Even I have to, like, I'm not going to turn this entire channel to like some type of political view thing. I'm gonna make this video, and I'm not gonna make every other video about the same subject. But if as soon as there's updates, relevant updates, not like small little updates, like we have a video from the other angle, I'm not doing that. As far as like relevant updates to it, I'll probably do a video on it. Not probably, I will, because I think that that's important. That it doesn't just go from one little post. I couldn't do that. That's why I didn't do it. I didn't make one little post and just let that rock. I couldn't. No. Like retweeting something, you know, like one little retweet or something like that. Can't let that rock. You have to stick on this, because if you let it slide, it'll just keep happening. We need some type of law in place. We need some type of legislator. Whatever term it is, because I can't think straight right now. We need that. We need something in place that this is automatically, like, I shouldn't have to start pulling up Georgia law for my man that was jogging, like start looking up, oh, technically the shotgun, and why do I have to do that? No, first of all, that's a completely different situation, because those dudes, they ain't even cops. They're not cops. They were, but they currently weren't. So that's a completely different thing. That's these are cops. These are people that are currently were being paid. You know, it's not some dude. You know, I even say that it makes more sense. That's why that case is different, because someone doing something out of their own heart for their community, or whatever the way you want to paint it, is completely different from people that are literally paid to do a proper job. You can actually, you want to give people benefits of the doubt and say that, hey, they were doing the right thing, but it just didn't end the way that they wanted it to. Whatever. This one, no excuses. There's nothing you can come up with. Resisting arrest is the best you got. The best they got is resisting arrest. This man was resisting arrest, and that's what led to that. If he was never resisting arrest, that would have never happened. That is the dumbest thing ever. Even when his body was lifeless, you cannot say that he was still resisting arrest. And the fact that he was lifeless, or unresponsive, I should say, and at that point, because you would know that, right? Because if he's resisting arrest, right, you would feel the pressure. Like if I used to wrestle with my friend, you can feel that tussle when someone is fighting. When they're fighting, you're on top of them and they're trying their best to get over you, or flip you over or something like that. You feel that. You know for a fact that they're trying their best. And there's a point where the body gets tired, and you just say, you relax. Like, all right, bro, you got me. When that man was unresponsive, they had to have felt that. And they still proceeded to stay on top of him, even after knowing that he wasn't applying any resistance at all. One thing I won't say is that I'm tired. I ain't tired. Oh no. I'm actually the opposite. I'm excited. I'm excited to see with this much outrage, and if we can actually channel it properly, that we can get something really, really amazing done here. I think that this might be the wake up call, and it sucks to say that, you know, not to say that the other ones were stepping stones. I would hate that. That's not the notion here. It takes crazy bad things over and over and over. It's similar to, like they said, with a war. I think some people, it's similar to a war. People started seeing the effects of war and realizing that we really need to not do this a lot, because this is going terrible. You know, this is definitely not. That's why there's so much back and forth for that. Like, people threaten war, but they actually don't want to do it. You know, or all out war, I should say. You know, because people know what that looks like now. Not pretty. And if this is what police brutality looks like, not pretty. And now a lot more people are waking up to it. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm talking in circles. This video is gonna be stupidly long, and I don't care. Stay safe. Stay safe out there.